আসসালামু আলাইকুম ওয়া রাহমাতুল্লাহি ওয়া বারাকাতুহু সুপ্রিয় দর্শক মণ্ডলী আপনাদেরকে আমন্ত্রণ জানাচ্ছি আমাদের অনুষ্ঠান কমিউনিটি আউটরিচ This is a show about the community, what's going on in the community, the important thing in the community happening we tend to talk about in this show. Today we're going to talk about an event, but before talking about the event I would like to ask you guys to make dua for these guys who arranged this wonderful event because it's related to children, subhanallah. And especially you have to make dua for these gentlemen and these ladies, because the people are always thinking about the elderly people, the adults, but nobody is thinking about children. And mostly children are putting away on the side, nobody's thinking about it. And these persons, they come forward to think about children and do something for them. So inshallah we're going to talk about, and you will know why I'm asking to make dua for them. It's an event called Speech and Language Therapy Assessment Workshop. It's a free event. It will take place in London Muslim Centre on Saturday 6th November from 11 until 5 a.m. So without further ado, let's introduce our guest inshallah. So I have on my right Muhammad Wasi, and he's the director of Communicate. And Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, welcome to the show.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you for having me, and thank you for giving us the platform to talk about this really important, well, not only event but the cause.
It's our pleasure. And we have a parent and a teacher as well, our brother Abdul Wahid. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, welcome to the show.
Assalamu alaikum, and thank you very much for inviting us to this program. And I think it's a very unique program, which I think is very much needed within the community. And I hope that everyone can attend on Saturday.
We hope so. We hope so, inshallah. And also I have on my left side Sister Sharmina Rabi, consultant speech and language therapy. Assalamu alaikum, sister. Welcome to our show.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for inviting us. As the brothers have said, this is a great opportunity and a great platform to be able to talk about speech and language therapy, discuss what it is, and look at the options of what we can do to help children and young people with speech and language difficulties.
Yeah, most importantly, it's free.
Absolutely.
And also we've got Sister Masuma Shuba, who is an assistant in speech and language therapy. Yeah.
Yeah, walaikum salam. And yeah, like I just want to echo what everyone else has said. Like, it's a really good opportunity to come on this platform and get out the news about this event. So yeah.
Jazakallahu khairan. So let's go to Brother Wasi first, so who's the main source of this wonderful event, who is the director of the Communicate. Brother, tell us about your organization. Sure. And why did you wanted to take this event, promote this event?
Sure, absolutely. So I'll try to speak. Obviously, I'll try and communicate in English.
Our viewers can speak. I can understand everything.
And I'll try and break it up with a bit of my really poor Bangla, just so that we can reach as many people as we can. So me chesta korbo আপনারা লগে বাংলা মাততাম your event কথা, but আমরা organizational নাম হইল কি Communicate. It's come about from a need that was identified in the Burko report. The Burko report, there's been two iterations, two versions of the Burko report. The first one was in 2008, where John Burko, the Speaker of the House of Commons, who's closely affiliated because his eldest child, I believe, suffers from autism. And the report was commissioned to identify what the kind of barriers were to children, especially in the early years, receiving or having access to quality speech and language therapy. And in that, it was identified that people who come from socioeconomic deprivation, they are disproportionately impacted by speech and language difficulties. So our cause has basically come about from that. So if I could just like try and reach out and explain that in my Bangla. So আমরা এই organization আমরা set up করছি because your parliamentary report একটা 2008 John Bercow speaker commission করছিল একটা report. এই রিপোর্টের মাঝে তারা আইডেন্টিফাই করছে that their community বেশি সাফার করে এই প্রবলেমও হইল গিয়ে আমরা বাংলাদেশি community. Bangladeshi community disproportionately impact হয়েছে from speech and language difficulties because obviously we come from historically our communities have come from areas of social deprivation. So the aim of our organization is to raise awareness in our community of what speech and language difficulties are, because they're quite prevalent. So আমরা চেষ্টা করলাম যে আপনার কমিউনিটির মাঝে awareness raise করবার লাগি speech and language উপরে awareness raise করতাম। So আপনারা বুঝেন অসুবিধা হইল কি কিতা ফুরুতাইনটোর মাঝে আর খুদানো আপনারা যাইতা সাহায্য লাগি।
Jazakallah khair, brother Wasi. Let's move on to our sister Shamina Rabi. Sister, I would love to ask you to talk about this assessment. What is it about? What is this assessment about, and what is the requirements, and why do we need to do this?
Okay. So tomorrow we're going to be performing assessments all day at the London Muslim Centre in Whitechapel, East London, and we will be assessing children and young people who have speech and language difficulties.
Sorry to interrupt. Is it tomorrow you said?
Sorry, Saturday. On Saturday.
6th November. Okay.
On Saturday, the 6th of November, and that will be from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Now the assessments are really important because it helps us to be able to diagnose what sort of speech and language difficulty the child may have. There's many different types. Is it the language? The child has difficulties with putting words together, forming sentences, thinking of the words. Nowadays you may see toddlers up to 3 years who are not speaking as much as they did previously, and technology is part of it, but also being in a COVID environment where they have not had the opportunity to speak and communicate and socialise with their peers and other people. So we want to be able to diagnose what type of speech and language deficit the child has. Is it a delay, or is it something more than a delay, like a disorder? And you can often find a disorder when a child has autism or Asperger's or Down syndrome or a more medical condition. And the speech and language therapy the speech and language diagnosis is associated with the medical diagnoses.
With the medical diagnosis. Okay. So is it like you said, you tend to diagnose like difficulties and deficits and so delay. So is it like, do you do it separately? What kind of assessment do you use? Like the assessment, what kind of assessment they are? Can you please talk about it?
Yeah, so we will assess the child directly. If the child is under 4, it's quite play-based, so we're having a look to see what words they have. But even though we're playing, it may look like we're just playing with the child, we're able to identify quite quickly what type of words they have. It's quite common for parents to teach noun words, table, chair, apple, names of things, but we often forget to teach other things that you require in a sentence, such as jumping, eating. So for example, the girl eats an apple. We need to learn all those parts of a sentence in order to be able to say it. But as parents, just normally we focus on the nouns, what's this, what's that. So when we're assessing, we're looking to see what vocabulary the child has, if the child has any. Some children are non-verbal, so we're also looking at other things such as their attention. Can they sit and attend? Or are they just running around? They can't listen, they've got poor attention. Those are the sort of things that we're looking at.
Interesting.
We might also be looking at speech clarity. So this is where they have the words, they've got language, but you can't understand them. So it might be that there's a problem with the tongue. It could be that they can't coordinate the sounds correctly. And that's why their speech is not very clear. They speak a lot, but you just don't understand them.
Very true. And the age group you're looking for?
Primarily we want to focus on 0 to 5, but we have opened this up all the way up to age 16 so that we can support children and young people The problem is there's a massive waiting list at the moment in the NHS, unfortunately, due to
very true.
COVID. And so we're hoping that if we can do these assessments, we can advise parents. We're going to give you some resources for free, some therapy ideas. We're going to show you how to do some techniques as well on
great.
Saturday. And at least parents can go away with something.
Yeah, that's nice.
And then hopefully when they are, we can signpost them to groups and other things that are running in the community.
Very nice, mashallah. Thank you. I'll come back to you again. So
Sure.
let's move on to our brother Abdul Wahid. He's a teacher and a parent. So you listened to Sister Shamina. She talked about the assessment and everything. So as a parent, what do you think about it? Do you think it's okay as a parent if your children or your child need it? Do you go to this kind of assessment? What do you think?
Thanks for the question. I think it's as we know as parent, and firstly, as a parent, you want the best for your kids, and communication and language, is very important. As
the
part
core
of
of everything.
as part of their development, and sometimes as parent we can put certain things off and say, okay, we can do it later, or but I think speech is something that is so important in the development of a child. And in terms of the work that the group does is brilliant, because they are specialized in terms of the things to look at, the signs, the symptoms, and then basically from that develop in terms of a comprehensive package that they work on to develop that child and how to help them. And I think it is a vital service. It's something that is very important, and in a lot of things, we the early detection, sometimes we don't realize, as a parent, as a teacher now, I sometimes we look at why our child misbehaves. And we can put so many things into okay, he's misbehaving because of X, Y, and a lot of the times it's something can be really simple. It's like, because if anyone can't communicate and say words or say something that they want, that's where the problem comes.
Yes.
And speech as language, if the speech is not correct, if they're not able to articulate and say something, and that's where the other behavior issues come in. So it's very important the work that the group does, and in terms of basically helping the child to develop.
That might affect other developmental things. Okay, let's move on to Sister Masuma Shuba. So you heard brother saying the importance of it. So do you think like people who doesn't have children maybe, so what is the importance of coming to this assessment? They can come to the assessment, like maybe they can just enjoy this for some reason, they might be benefited or something, do you think?
Yeah, for sure. So we really want to open up this event to the entire community, regardless if you have a child or not, because it's really important that's the whole aim of our event, is like we want to empower the Bengali community and the BAME community with their knowledge and the information about child development and specifically child speech and language development. As Mohammed was saying earlier about the Burqa report, there were two versions that were published, one in 2008 and then another one in 2018. So from the 2018 report, it showed that out of the 47 recommendations that were first made in 2008, only 17 were actually achieved. So although the government is working towards this as in a wider aspect, working towards speech and language communication awareness, it's not enough. So this is where the events such as, and companies such as, charities such as Communicate comes into this. We really want to just spread the awareness to everybody, to allow them to understand or to identify what delays their child might have, and to really just really empower the community with that.
That's very
knowledge.
good. Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, I'm really excited to see this Communicate, like a charity is thinking about this psychology thing. They just think like speech and language therapy assessment workshop. Yeah, but it's really amazing. But so why did you think, like, how did you get into this report? I mean, there's a lot of other report, maybe other problems. Why, like, what brought you attention this report?
Sure, absolutely. Just before we continue, we are actually not a charity, so we're a community interest company.
Sorry about that.
Just for regulatory
Thanks for
purposes.
clarifying, yeah.
We don't want to hold ourselves out to be a charity.
That's good.
But obviously, we are not for profit, and we are
NGO.
Yeah, we're CIC, so
Okay.
community interest
All
company.
right.
So everything that we raise, it goes back into raising awareness about this issue. And it's come about, basically, Communicate is an amalgamation of two words. So communication and gateway.
Gateway.
So we are trying to provide a gateway to essentially effective communication. And this effective communication is, the formative period of that is between the years of 0 to 5. And if a parent can master or understand the importance of that age period, then it prevents a lot of issues that a child may face in later life. So if I can just, I like numbers, so if I can just throw a few statistics at you, just to
We all like
highlight,
numbers.
just so that we can highlight what the issue is. So for instance, in the UK, there's 1 in 10 children will start school with a form of speech and language difficulty. That's 10%
Wow.
of the school age population. Now, most of these kids, or the majority of these kids, will go through their schooling life without it being diagnosed. And the byproduct or the result of that not being picked up is quite profound because of certain studies. So one of which, if I may touch upon, is an ICANN report from 2014, I believe, which identified that 60% of our youth who end up in the youth offending system have a form of speech and language difficulty.
Wow.
And from that, if we then break down in terms of what percentage of that are from the BAME community, is a significant number. It's the majority of that number, especially in London, would be from that community. And obviously, if you further break down in terms of the Bangladeshi population, then we are disproportionately represented, unfortunately, in those categories. So there's a lot of work, and rightly so, going on in terms of the reaction to people offending, the rehabilitation of offenders, etc. And that needs to happen, and that needs to be increased as well. However, what we are looking at is the preventative element of that. How do we prevent? How do we stop our youth getting into a cycle that leads them to those avenues? And like the brother pointed out, if we identify these early enough, then we can intervene, and that's precisely what we're trying to do with this event. So.
That's great, mashallah, and I pray that you will be successful in this event, inshallah. Sister, come over to you. So why do you think the BAME community has got an increasing number of speech and language issues?
I think there are a number of factors here. One, there's a denial aspect and there's a stigma attached to it. And because no one is asking for help, or people think, oh, the child will soon, grow out of it, and they'll be fine in a few years.
Childish thing, maybe.
We miss that crucial age of 0 to 3 or 0 to 5, where we really need to do the early intervention work to make a difference with that child. And unfortunately, fortunately, I think that the community is progressively getting better, and we do get referrals from the Bangladeshi community, and people are really interested in supporting their child, but it's not enough. We need to be doing more, and we need to be talking about it openly, like mental health. We need to be talking about disabilities, and again, there's a sharam, there's an embarrassment, a shame attached to. I don't want to talk about my child who might have this disability.
Some people they don't go to other people's house because of this issue, because they feel embarrassed.
Absolutely. I had a very close friend, and I didn't even know she had a sister with a disability for about 10 years because they just hid her at home and did not want to bring her out and did not want to talk about it. And therapy is out there to help and support not only the individual with the deficit, but the people that surround the individual so that they can communicate better. And as this brother was saying, communication is so important. It's like breathing and eating and drinking. Without speaking to one another and communicating your want, your need, your love for your loved ones, what is the purpose of life? You want to be able to communicate. You want to be able to hear your child say, Mum, Dad, I want this for the first time. And not to hear that is extremely painful. So we really want to be able to talk about this in an open environment like today, in an open forum, where we can discuss, okay, there's many things that we can do. So when you do come on Saturday, inshallah, not only are we doing assessments, we're also doing seminars and talks.
Okay.
So we're going to be giving you tips and strategies on how to support your baby, how to develop their communication. You know, if you're an expecting parent or if you've got a young toddler, come along. We'll be discussing lots of tips and strategies. We'll also be talking about speech and language and autism. Now, autism seems to be quite prevalent in the Bangladeshi community.
Well, it is.
And again, we need
Some
to be
people
talking
even
about
they
it.
don't know that they have autism.
Absolutely, and why? Why has the child gone through the school system? No diagnosis has been made, the parents haven't been given the knowledge. Who's to blame here? So I think that there's a lot of things that we need to be doing, and this is the start of, inshallah, a national campaign where we want to raise awareness of not only speech and language difficulties, but special needs in our community, disabilities. We need to start talking about it. We need to start doing action. We need to start taking support. And I think this is hopefully the first step towards opening those dialogues.
Inshallah. Thank you very much. Let's move on to Sister Masuma. Sister, can you tell us, like, the speech and language problem issues? Can it provoke some other developmental issues? Or what kind of developmental issue it can provoke if you don't assess that and if you don't address it?
Well,
Or maybe something, any
Yeah.
other issues?
yeah, so speech and language is a very broad term. It covers a lot of things like attention and in general behaviours in like the classroom. So if a speech and language difficulty does get overlooked, I guess other conditions and aspects can get overlooked, right, Shamina?
Yes, that's right. So you might get a child who's got attention deficit disorder, and you straight away think, well, they run around, they're not listening, they're not interested in working, but actually they can't attend. You may get a child with dyslexia or a child who's got difficulties understanding what's being asked, and so their natural behaviour is to play up in the class, throw their pencil, be the one that's cracking all the jokes, but actually there's an underlying issue here, and so those are the things that get missed, and then that child, as one of the brothers was saying, will start to go along the wrong path. So yeah, there's many different aspects attached to it, including mental health. If you have difficulties to communicate, you will feel low in confidence. You may
Anxiety,
withdraw.
depression,
Absolutely.
everything,
And we have many young people, again in the community, who don't have those communication skills to be able to articulate at interviews, at university interviews, job interviews, and communication is the way forward. We need to be able to communicate,
can you believe?
articulate in a confident manner. And again, speech language therapy can support that. So we do work with young people and adults who may have difficulties with pronouncing certain sounds, who may want to improve their voice, their speech, their general articulation.
Subhanallah. Thank you very much. By the way, we have very, very little time. We need to go to a break. So would you like to say something like about like in your family, not you, in your family, maybe in your surrounding, do you have any issues regarding like speech and language therapy that they might need assessment or something, or you saw something, some speech difficulties in children? Have you experienced some of these issues?
I think basically it's like I said, it's very important that basically when we look at, we take. It's very important that we when we see something that we deal with it from the outset, and I think some of the benefits I got through basically in terms of actually getting help from the group was that, like previously been mentioned already, sometimes we tend to think if a child is behaving in a certain way, we tend to put that to a side. But it could be a simple thing why they are throwing tantrums, because if they're not being able to express themselves, and how you communicate with them, because when I went for some of the session, it was simple things, how to react to the kids when they say something, giving your full attention to them.
I'll come back to you, brother, inshallah. We have a call. Let's take the call, inshallah, then we'll listen to you, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, caller.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu
Can you hear
alaikum.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, it's a very good topic today, community outreach.
Thank you very much.
And I appreciate the brothers and sisters who have come forward with this topic. I just wanted to say 5 ways to well-being is to connect. The people around you can enrich your life. Be active. Exercise can boost your energy level. And keep learning. New skills can increase your confidence. And give to others. Being kind can be incredibly rewarding. And take notice. Appreciating little things can make you feel good. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes. Yeah, carry on,
I
brother,
just
please.
wanted to say that we don't understand the feelings of other people. There was a teacher who passed away, obviously Sabina Nessa, and she went to meet someone, and somebody said why she is.
Okay, that was a different issue. Jazakallah khair, brother, for your call. Thank you very much. So we're going to go for a break, a very, very short break. So I would ask you to stay with us, inshallah. So when we come back, we'll talk more about, inshallah, the event. And you'll hear about this event, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear viewers, we are talking about an event, important event, and this is your show, Community Outreach. And the event is about speech and language therapy, and it's a very, very important event, and it's a free event, and it's for parents and for everybody else actually who might be able to help others, although you don't have any children, but you can be a mean to help others. Sometimes we make dua for people. We make dua for our children that may Allah guide them, may Allah help them to develop nicely and with a sound mind and with sound health. So maybe Allah will create someone behind you, someone beside you to do that job for you, and you just need to go to them to access to that help. So that's why these people around me, they gathered together to arrange an event, important event for you. So we're going to talk about the event more and more deeply, inshallah. So let's move on to our brother Abdul Wahid, and you're talking about the experience that you had related to this speech and language therapy in your surroundings, maybe.
What I was saying before, and I'll try and speak a bit of Bangla as well. And before I left, when I had the issue with my son, when I went to them, it was simple. Basically, when he misbehaved, I didn't realize that certain things that's why he misbehaved. And it's a simple thing, because although I'm a teacher, but basically that's not my specialist side. You know, I can't recognize that. They are specialists. They understand what they're doing. So misbehave or tantrum we used to think, okay, he misbehaved. It was simple things because he wasn't being able to say certain things, and I think that helped me realize that the way kila approach sometimes as parents we think misbehave it's not that. Especially my experience with my son is that the worst thing you can do is shout at him.
Yes.
You know, you need to realize, you need to give him the sympathy, the empathy. You know, you have to relate to him. Sometimes you have to come tara level of and I think going to the service, you know, actually helped me so much in terms of basically understanding or to understand the little bits that I had to do with their support. So I think it's very important, and a free event like this, you know, we should make time, because this is the future of our kids. You know, and early detection in anything, in statistics will tell you that early detection in any kind of issue has more of an impact of basically in curing or remedying the issue at a later life. So I think it's very important, and I have so much benefit that I got from getting the service. And I would encourage, you know, parents out there, even teachers out there. You know, sometimes teachers, we like, you know, kids misbehaving. Maybe there's an underlying issue. You know, how do you identify that? And I believe on Saturday there will be certain workshops where teachers would be, the therapists would be showing where teachers can actually identify certain things, you know, certain ways or way they talk, the kids, and through that, you know, you can work with them and identify the things.
Really interesting point. Actually, this is very common in our culture, in our Asian culture, actually, that we know everything. Don't come to me with knowledge, especially people who are professional. They tend to say this, no, it's not for me, I know everything, so don't come to me. You know, sometimes you have to realize that, okay, I'm a specialist in certain things, but there are my other part of the specialty that I need to go into Yeah. So inshallah, we're going to talk about, now we're going to move on to Sister Masuma. So can you please tell us about the autism and the relation between autism and the speech and language difficulties, please?
Yeah, so with this I'm going to try and speak in Bengali as much as I can,
yeah,
so
that would be
please
very,
bear
very
with
great.
me. And I might come to Mohammed for some help. So আমি মাত্র কিছু autism আর speech and language therapy আমরা কিলা help করি. So autism বড় spectrum, so একজন mild হতে পারবে to extremely high on the spectrum. So কিছু identifiers of autism, so if you're বাচ্চাইndo like একলা খেলাইতে চায় কোনো social interaction বলা হয় না, or certain textures and certain noises bala faina ar khandoin ar tantrums falain ba afna explain khota falana kita lagi khandra ota kisu identifiers of autism. So what a speech language therapist does with a child with autism is they can help not only just the child but also the family in how to communicate with the child and give other avenues of communicating. So আপনারে হেল্প করতে পারবা কিলা কমিউনিকেট করতে পারবা আপনার ফুলথান্ত লগে আর খালি মাতবা লাগি না আরো জিনিস কমিউনিকেট করবা লাগি লাইক a board, so আপনার বাচ্চা পয়েন্ট করতে পারবো আমি চাই or I want an apple খালি পয়েন্ট করতে পারবা because একটা আপনার বাচ্চা মাততে পারে না বা other aspects আছে communicate করবা লাগি. So that's what we do, and it's really important that our community accepts autism as a diagnosis. It can be really difficult for a family to get the diagnosis, and we understand that. So we work with the family as well as the child to help them communicate and help them get through this. So I mean, amra shob zani autism diagnosis is so difficult oita faroin, but speech language therapist afnare family loge help hormo, afna bachanta loge help hormo. So it's really important. Afne dekhle kinu like identifiers exonde zaita GP gese zaita nale teacher gese zaita hoy thai o ami buzi amar bachanto kisu delay okhano nale ami ekta notice korchi amar bachante ami worried hoitam ni but they thara hoiba afne GP loge za onale afna organization loge mato. So it's really important to just like accept that our children can be delayed in different aspects.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to Sister Shamina. Sister, you earlier mentioned that you were looking at the 0 to 5 years old kids. So why is this special range of kids? Why not other kids, like other aged kids?
Well, we know generally in child development that 0 to 3 and then the 3 to 5 is a very
Sorry,
important.
0 to 3 or 0 to 5?
0 to 3 and then 3 to 5. So the
Okay,
0 to 5, yeah.
Okay,
They're both very important foundations for child development.
Okay. I beg your pardon. You have a call. Let's take the call
sure,
and we'll
sure.
speak about it, inshallah. Okay. Assalamu alaikum, caller. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Is there any help for adult grown up? He got Asperger's. We didn't know before when he was young age. Now he's adult, like over 20. Now, is there any help or any organization how to deal with Asperger's syndrome? It's part of
Sister, maybe you can address.
autism, you see. So he's finding very difficulties communication, and he doesn't, like family doesn't bond. So can you advise anything for grown up?
Okay, inshallah. Jazakallah khair for your call. We have our Sister Shamina. Maybe you can address this issue of this sister.
Yeah, absolutely. So young adults in this country are entitled to something we call an EHCP, an Educational Healthcare Plan. That starts from 16 or 18 up to 25. So actually your child would be able to, the child would be applicable to have options for therapy and support if he has an EHCP. Now, if he hasn't got one, what I would suggest is to see your GP first. That should be the first port of call, and request for an educational healthcare plan to start that service, to start that process. And this is where he will need the diagnosis. Now, you said he's got Asperger's, so if he already has the diagnosis, he would come under the learning disabilities team, which would be in the NHS, because they cater for young people starting at 18 all the way up to older adults who have a diagnosis such as autism or Asperger's. It sounds like he will also benefit from speech therapy. So in terms of signposting you, I would recommend the NHS, the Learning Disability Team, your local Learning Disability Team, speaking to your GP. But also you can look at independent providers around you, and also get in touch with us at Communicate, because we can give you some advice over the phone and find out where you live and actually support you with getting the right services that you require. So if you can contact us at Communicate, do we have a contact number for that?
We can provide the email.
They can call us.
Yeah,
they
we
can
can
call us,
provide
and
the
we can
details.
provide the number anyway. Okay. Jazakallah khair. Are you going to follow on with this 0 to 5?
Oh, yes. So yes, so it's a very pivotal age for child development. Cognitive skills, the child's learning ability, communication, being able to associate all those different parts of the brain that develop at that age. And they're like sponges. They take everything in within that age group. So to be able to work with children who have difficulties at that age is really important, because they can start to generalize those skills, those strategies. They'll be able to learn them, practice them, and then incorporate them into their learning style. So for example, if a child has got autism and has poor attention, has limited speech, how does that child sit in a classroom with 25 other children on the carpet and listen to the story and answer questions? So our job is to support that 4-year-old so that the 4-year-old can access the learning. We need to break that learning down. We need to be able to make it more visual. Often, most children who have speech and language difficulties are visual learners. They really benefit from lots of visual cueing around them, be it pictures, using objects, many things like that.
That's great.
So that's why it's quite key to be able to work at that age, so that we can start to internalize those strategies and skills.
That's very good. Thank you very much. We've got a call, sister, so let's
Sure.
take the call. Assalamu alaikum, caller.
Hi, can I get the number, please? I called again. The mention you have a number.
Yeah, sure. The brothers in the control room, they will take your number, sister, and we'll call you back, inshallah, okay? Okay? Just
Okay.
hold on, please. Thank you. Jazakallah khair. Okay, let's move on to you, brother Wasi, and can you tell us, explain about the event, like
Sure.
how it's going to be and everything?
Sure, absolutely. I'll try to explain it in Bangla as best I can. So, our event hoibo shonibare 11টা আরম্ভ হইব 11টা থেকে 5টা 6 ঘন্টা লাগি থাকা লাগতো না, সো আপনারা ড্রপ ইন করতে পারবা। আর এই ইভেন্টের মাঝে স্পিচ থেরাপিস্ট, ট্রেন্ড স্পিচ থেরাপিস্ট থাকবা, আর আমরা অ্যাসেসমেন্ট বুথ থাকবো। সো হরেদি এলএমসি মেইন হলের মাঝে হরেদি অ্যাসেসমেন্ট বুথ আছে। সো প্রাইভেটলি হলতে হইয়া আপনারা ফুরুতা লইয়া আইলে প্রাইভেটলি হলতে হইব। So everything's kind of, individually assess করা হইব। So এর সামনে হইতো না এটা কোনো শর্মার জিনিস নাই। আপনারা actually it's brave. আপনারা যখন আপনার ফুরুতান্তরে লইয়া আইন, it's actually a brave move, because what you're doing is, if you haven't already, আপনারা লইয়া আইলে আপনার ফুরুতান্তর মায়া লাগি, ফুরুতান্তর সাহায্য করবার লাগি, তারা কিমলা কমিউনিকেট করে সোসাইটির মতো লাগি লইয়া আইরা। সো আপনার এটা ব্রেভ মুভ। সো প্লিজ লইয়া আইবা। আমরা অবভিয়াসলি ফ্রি সার্ভিস অফার করলাম। আমরা কাউন্সিলের লাগে, এটা কাউন্সিল সাপোর্টেড, কাউন্সিলে আমরা তোরা সাহায্য করছেন ইভেন্ট করবার লাগি। আর আমরা এখানে স্পন্সর হইয়া আসেন, তারা আমরা সাহায্য করছে। সো আপনারা লইয়া আইবা। খালি অ্যাসেসমেন্ট হইব না, আপনারা টিপস পাইবা কোন রকম আপনারা ফুরুতাইন্তের লগে কমিউনিকেট করতা। লাগে যে সিম্পল জিনিস, আপনারা আমার ফুরুতাইন্তের লগে তো আমি কনভারসেশন করমু, মাতমু, বাট স্পেসিফিক স্কিলস আছে। একটা ফুরুতাইন্তে তারা বালাটিকে কনসেন্ট্রেট করতে পারে না স্ট্র্যাটেজিজ আমরা দিতাম পারমু কিমুলা কনসেন্ট্রেশন ইউনো
Future কোনো direction দিতে পারবো
জি
না।
জি সো আমরা tips and strategies দিতাম পারমু free assessments থাকবো so they're really aiba because obviously free event বেশি সময় লাগতো না আর at the end of the day যার বেনিফিট হইব কি ইনশাআল্লাহ আপনারা বেনিফিট হইব আপনার ফুরতাইন্তর বেনিফিট হইব
কি সাইন আপ করা লাগবে নাকি তারা জাস্ট টার্ন আপ
সাইন আপ করলে ভালো হইব সাইন আপ করলে আমরা it give us an idea আমরা আইডিয়া দিব আর কি কতজন মানুষ আইরা so আমরা প্ল্যান করতাম from in terms of assessment booths at the moment we got about 4 or 5 assessment booths set up and if we get an influx inshallah if we get an influx of interest in tomorrow then we might increase that
how they can sign up
so if you go to our website so our website is communigate.org.uk or if you drop us an email at info@communigate.org.uk and just tell us you're interested in the event. But if you actually go to the website, you'll see that there's a sign up to the event. And just around the event actually, if I could just like logistically, so 11 o'clock it will start at the LMC in the main hall, and the event is supported by Tower Hamlets Council. They've given us a small amount of funding, and it's also supported by our partner organisation, which is Unlocking Language. So they're providing all the speech therapists for the event. So we, as Communicate, obviously we don't have our own in-house speech therapists, so we have to reach out to partner organisations. So even if you would like, if you're a speech therapist, you are in the profession or you have an interest, please get in touch with us, pop along and come and support, because this is unfortunately a sleeping epidemic within our community, and we want to be able to capture it. And so often it's just brushed under the carpet, and that's why we have such a profound impact in later life. And if I could just mention one other thing about the actual event, we are obviously we are a CIC, so for the event, Tower Hamlets Council is supporting us, Unlocking Language is supporting us. We also have a generous sponsor who's supporting us for this event, Cakelicious. It's a local business. So if you are and I don't mean to plug for sponsorship, but if you would like to support in any way, either through your time or any other way, then please get in touch with us, because every single penny that we spend through Communicate will be to raise awareness of speech and language difficulties in our community.
Okay, so let's clear this thing. Like the date is Saturday, 6th November from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. and the venue is London Muslim Centre.
That's right.
So either they can turn up at 11 a.m. or they can sign up through your webpage, which is Communicate.
Communicate.org.uk. It's best that they sign up so we can allocate. Otherwise, you might be waiting around. So please do try to sign up through the website. Inshallah.
Okay. Jazakallah khair. Brother, let's come over to you. As a Muslim parent, what do you think? Like many people say, like Islamic, as Islamic point of view, what do you say about this assessment? Like, why should we access to this assessment? Why do you go to this event?
From a Muslim
as a Muslim
parent's point
parent,
of view, as a parent, I think it's very, very important. This is you're actually talking about the future of your child.
Exactly.
Like I said, early detection in anything. আমরা যদি early detection আমরা যদি দেখি আমরা রুটিনটার problem তো যত সকাল আমরা help আনতাম পারি is the best way, and I think it's already been touched যেনে আমরা community মাঝে একটা stigma আছে যেনে disability, any kind of disabilities, whether speech or language, whatever it is, একটা stigma থাকে যেন মুখে কিতা হইব ইটা সবটা forget করিয়া আপনি আপনার child or future লাগি basically for the betterment of আপনার child to develop and for his or her future, this is something that basically we need to put so much emphasis in, you know. And like Mohammed just said, basically this is a big problem that is facing our community, and if you are still not, you know, aware of it, the stats was given before. You know, the stats, there's reports that come up identifying this. So as a parent, my request and it's a free event. You know, if there's something that you're doing, you know, this, you know, that you're doing this Saturday, make this one of your priorities. And all event like that, because it are afnara help about that. There are speech and language therapists, qualified people are going to be there. Therapists are going to be the tips, afne free tips. Afnara khoya diba kila how to identify certain things. So as a parent, you know, my humble request would be to, you know, attend with your children, attend the event, and get the support. You know, get the support, and it's the future for it's your child's future.
Exactly. Jazakallah khair, brother. Let's move on to Sister Shabina. Sister, are you going to stay in the event, inshallah? So are you going to be there talking to the parents and everything?
Yes, I will be at the event, inshallah, all day, and we will be doing the assessments in Bengali, Sylheti, Arabic, Urdu, Hindi. So we're really opening up not only to the Bangladeshi community but to the Muslim community. So if you have got friends or anyone else who is either Bengali or not Bengali, please do come along. Sessions will also be done in English. But we're very lucky, very fortunate to have therapists from our own communities who will be doing the assessment. And I think that cultural understanding and that cultural competence is very important. And I also just wanted to quickly mention, yes. You know, we've spoken a lot about autism, what speech and language is, to bring your child, but just things to think about. So if you're noticing that your child is not speaking much, if you're noticing that you have a child under 2 who has no words, if you're noticing that you have a child who doesn't really play, doesn't really concentrate, these are things to look out for, and I would recommend either to come to see us or to speak to your GP about it. So any concerns around the speech and language, communication, play skills, social communication, definitely seek some help.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. Brothers and sisters, we just end of our show, inshallah. Jazakallah khair, everybody, to come to our show, inshallah. Hopefully people will enjoy this show, inshallah. সুপ্রিয় দর্শক, আপনাদেরকে অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ যারা এতক্ষণ ধরে আমাদের অনুষ্ঠানটি দেখলেন। আমার অনুষ্ঠানের একদম শেষ পর্যায়ে, তো শেষে আমি একটা কথা বলতে চাই। অ্যাজ এ প্যারেন্ট, আমি নিজেও একজন প্যারেন্ট। তো আল্লাহ সুবহানাহু, আমরা যখন মুসলিম, তো অ্যাজ এ মুসলিম প্যারেন্ট আমরা এটা বলতে পারি যে আল্লাহ সুবহানাহু ওয়া তাআলার কাছে আমরা সবাই দায়বদ্ধ থাকবো। যদি আমার কারণে আমার ছেলের যদি কোনো অসুবিধা হয় এবং সেই অসুবিধা যদি আমি যদি সময় মতো আমি সেটা কোনো স্পেশালিস্টের কাছে নিয়ে না যাই, সেটা যদি আমি অ্যাড্রেস না করি, তাহলে আল্লাহ সুবহানাহু ওয়া তাআলার কাছে আমি দায়বদ্ধ থাকবো। এবং আমি আশা করব এই যে ভাই বোনেরা যে ইভেন্টের আয়োজন করেছে, সেই ইভেন্টটা একটা ফ্রি ইভেন্ট আপনাদের জন্য, তারা আপনাদের সামনে হাজির হচ্ছেন, আপনাদেরকে ডাকছেন, আমি আশা করব আপনারা তাদের ডাকে সাড়া দেবেন ইনশাআল্লাহ। আমি আবারও আপনাদেরকে স্মরণ করে দিচ্ছি, ইভেন্টটি হচ্ছে ফ্রি স্পিচ অ্যান্ড ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ থেরাপি। এটা একটা অ্যাসেসমেন্ট ওয়ার্কশপ, এবং এটা ডেটটা হচ্ছে 6 নভেম্বর, শনিবার, সকাল 11টা থেকে বিকেল 5টা পর্যন্ত। এটা হবে লন্ডন মুসলিম সেন্টারে, ইনশাআল্লাহ আপনারা সবাই যাবেন। আর যারা ওখানে যেতে চান তারা ইচ্ছা করলে আপনি ওখানে গিয়ে হাজির হতে পারেন, কিন্তু সবচেয়ে ভালো হয় যদি আপনারা তাদের যে ওয়েব পেজটা আছে communicate.org.co.uk এই ওয়েব পেজে গেলে আপনারা আপনাদের সাইন আপ করতে পারবেন অনুষ্ঠানে। তাহলে তাদের সুবিধা হবে যে কতজন লোক আসছে, তাদের আপনাদেরকে সুন্দরভাবে তারা অ্যাসেসমেন্ট করার একটা পরিবেশ তৈরি করতে পারবে ইনশাআল্লাহ। আশা করি আপনারা সবাই উপকৃত হবেন। আমাদের এই যে ইভেন্টটা তারা আয়োজন করছে সেটা সুযোগ নেবেন পরিপূর্ণভাবে। সবাই ভালো থাকবেন, সুস্থ থাকবেন, এই দোয়া কামনা করে আমাদের অনুষ্ঠান এখানে শেষ করছি। আসসালামু আলাইকুম ওয়া রাহমাতুল্লাহি ওয়া বারাকাতুহু।
TV1 proudly presents the Voice of Oneness National Quran Competition Grand Finale on the 6th of November at 5 p.m. the Royal Regency, London. We will be joined on the big stage by internationally renowned Qurra, Nasiha sessions, Nasheed, spoken word and much more. And bringing you our headline event of the day, the finalists of the Voice of Oneness Quran Competition. To secure your place on the big day, head over to tv1.eventbrite.co.uk.
পার্কিং বাংলা টাউন ক্যাশ এন্ড ক্যারিতে সম্মানিত কাস্টমারদের অনুরোধে আবার শুরু হলো অবিশ্বাস্য অফার। 31 জানুয়ারি পর্যন্ত চলবে বিশেষ ছাড়। এখানে 100 পাউন্ড শপিং করলে পাবেন 5% ডিসকাউন্ট। তাছাড়া মাছ, মাংস, শাকসবজি সহ নিত্য প্রয়োজনীয় পণ্য পাবেন অত্যন্ত সুলভ মূল্যে। নির্দিষ্ট পরিমাণ বাজার করলেই 5 মাইলের ভেতরে পাচ্ছেন ফ্রি হোম ডেলিভারি, আর রেস্টুরেন্ট ডেলিভারি তো থাকছেই। তাই দেরি না করে আজই চলে আসুন পার্কিং বাংলা টাউন ক্যাশ এন্ড ক্যারিতে, 21 Thames Road পার্কিং, IG11 OHN।
52% of British people have no religion. 70% of them are young people. Something this widespread will inevitably affect our young people if we do not educate them correctly. In fact, 23% of born Muslims in the US are no longer Muslim. So to make their Iman resilient, we have 2 one-year-long programs for 14 to 18-year-olds called the Learned Youth Program and the Youth Mentoring Program. Let's not take risks with their Iman. Register now at mawaitlifestyle.com.
সুন্দর ও কল্যাণকর সমাজ নির্মাণে বিশ্বস্ততার সাথে দীর্ঘ 17 বছর ধরে সেবা প্রদান করছে জমজম চ্যারিটেবল ট্রাস্ট। মসজিদ, দ্বীনি তালিমের কেন্দ্র, প্রশিক্ষণ কেন্দ্র এবং স্থায়ী মানবিক কাজ পরিচালনার জন্য সিলেটের প্রাণকেন্দ্র কুমারপাড়ায় নির্মাণ করেছে 7